Welcome back again to American Swahili News and Swahiliville Online TV. Uh, you are a PhD student. You're almost done with your coursework and your PhD, and I can call directly your economist.
Somehow, I think.
Okay. So, talks a little bit about this gathering in Tanzania, the leaders in the African continent, the president and the head of the states convening in Tanzania as we speak now. But the Tanzanian government, though, they have shut down all the economic activities in Tanzania. What is your opinion?
Well, thank you so much for having me again. I think this is my second or third time of appearing on your show.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and we have always talked about Africa, and I'm happy to talk again today about
Absolutely,
Africa.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So this meeting you mentioned started, I think, in Kenya. They were there in Kenya yesterday. It was African Union summit about. I think they want to restructure the parliament. I mean, so they have like a parliament, something like that for African Union. And the one in Tanzania, I think it's about energy, African
Energy,
energy
African
sector.
energy yes, sector.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, for me, that is a good move. I mean, you always, that sector is always one of the crucial sectors that every government should pay attention to. And for Africa, it is quite particularly important. With regard to shutting down the economy,
Activities, yeah.
yeah, economic activities as a whole, I mean, don't see any logic to it because, I mean, well, one could say that they could have just shut down some part of it, right? Maybe the capital city, Dar-es-Salaam, or something like that.
That's exactly what's going on. That's the capital city. That's the major city, one of the major city in continent of Africa. There's a
Yeah,
lot of economic activities going on, and the government has decided to stop pretty much everything
yeah,
for 2 days.
I think that is quite bad because looking at the fact that so many people depend on not on the government sector, right? They have their own job doing their informal sector and they are
Absolutely.
working hand to mouth and so a day if they don't go to work and get that maybe $5 a day that they used to get, it means they lose it. So
Absolutely.
for a whole day or 2 days, they lose the income that they will have made. And there's no other person that they will depend on. So for me, I think that decision is unfortunate, and there could have a better way to handle it. I mean, who's going to harm the leaders? They are just coming to decide for Africa, for Africans, right?
Absolutely.
So why then do you prevent someone from going to work just because you want to go and discuss him or her, right, their future, and then the same day you are going to discuss them, you don't want them to go to work. It doesn't make any logical sense to anybody, not only to me, to anybody
So,
at
so
all.
you here in America, and if you present this to some of your colleagues, maybe the people from Central America or people from right here in America, what do you think they will? It's not perception, but they're thinking about these decisions that was made to close down the businesses activities and just having a bunch of elite people, the leaders, so-called, the African leaders and the head of the states, to do their talking about the energy sectors.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think so. They will laugh at us because I mean, yeah, they are going to laugh because well, for a long time they have been taught about Africa being backward, right? So this is a typical example of that. I mean, what else would they think of, right? I mean, even if there was a summit, like we always have UN summit in Washington D.C., but we never have even anywhere in Washington D.C. where they shut down business, right? The whole of I mean, like, all world leaders will come to DC and still DC is running. Every little business is still running. And then in Africa, we have about 56 nations
Yeah,
or
55.
55, something like that.
Independent. Yeah.
Yeah, depending on who you count and who you don't count. Yeah. I mean, like 55, and I'm sure maybe some of them don't even show up, right? And then because of this, you are shutting down the whole economy. I mean, that is quite unfortunate. And if you were to explain it to anyone here in the US, they really are going to laugh. Some will be surprised, but some will not be surprised. those who will not be surprised, they sure know that, well, this is like common thing in Africa, right? We have a small group of people who rule and they make this kind of absurd decisions. So, but for those who will be surprised, they will compare America to Africa, right? I mean, if it were going to happen in the US, some will not even hear about it. It will happen in your city, your business is running, you don't even hear about it.
And the life goes on.
Yeah, and life goes, exactly.
So to let me ask you my last question. Do you think, I know you're from Ghana, do you think if this is the Ghanaian official or government decided to shut down the economic activities in Accra to allow the energy sector meeting for African leaders who are convening in Ghana, how is the Ghanaian people would receive such a message to them?
Well, I don't think they will receive it well. They will even demonstrate against it. I'm sure there will be so many people who run to street to demonstrate against it, and I'm sure that the government of Ghana will not even think of doing something like that, because they know the kind of
consequences,
opposition that they are going to face. I mean, like if they attempt to do anything like that, so they wouldn't do something like that either.
So do you think, based upon your explanations, there's something wrong with the Tanzanian citizens?
I don't want to make that. I don't want to make that kind of statement, because those are very strong statements to make.
So what is your comparison now? The Ghanaian citizens and Tanzanian citizens, do you think there is a mismatch with respect to understanding what is exactly their government needs to do?
I think, there's a mismatch in Africa, in most African countries, about what the people want and what the government is actually doing. I'm very sure if you ask any ordinary Tanzanian whether this decision was right, they will say no, right? Especially for those who are doing their own menial jobs, right? They go to the market or wherever they go, and then they make something at the end of the day, they will tell you, no, this decision is absurd, right?
Absolutely.
So, as I said, there's always a mismatch between what the government is doing and what the people actually want in most African countries.
Thank you very much for taking your time speaking with the American Swahili News and Swahiliville Online TV. Thanks.
You are welcome.
Bye-bye.